Hey, Daily Dosers, Chris back here with you. Happy Tuesday. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm jazzed about this. Yes, we had an amazing teaching this weekend, if I do say so myself, because I don't write the book. I'm teaching from an amazing book that's alive. And we got to bring the scriptures out and look at Saul versus David, a king that's holding on to his throne too tightly, who's already lost it because God's taken it away, but he selfishly won't get his butt off the throne. And a God that's given it to David, but David has this incredible humble heart and says, who am I to do it? Who am I to take it? It's all going to be in God's timing. And yesterday we looked at the parable of what you and I have to see life as. The pronouns. Is it my life, my talents, my gifts, my job, my bank account, my finances, my wife, my kids? Or is it, God, it's yours, and today help me manage what you want me to get out of life? But here's the other problem. We saw yesterday David was able to see it as God's kingdom, God's position, God's wealth, God's crown, not mine. Saul sees it as his. What do you and I do with the pride and jealousy in our life that defends and guards what's ours? That failure to applaud others and their successes because somehow we feel like we should be the ones. Well, let me tell you, it can be a huge sin issue, but it's also human nature in the best of us. I love one of the very last, in fact, the last story in the Gospels, the 4 books of Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. In John chapter 21, Jesus had already died on the cross. He already rose from the grave. And now for 40 days, he's walking with the disciples, resurrected. And he has to have a talk with Peter. And after a breakfast one morning at the beach, he takes Peter away from the disciples and he says, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? Because Peter denied Jesus, and cursed to everyone that he didn't know Jesus. And Jesus wanted him to know, you're not just forgiven, you're freed. I know your mistakes. I know what you did. I want you to know that I know, and I still love you, and we're good. Don't let guilt and shame come back into your life. I want to set you free. But here's the problem. Even walking with God in forgiveness and freedom, we have a tendency to be jealous of others. And the very last story in John 21, after Peter has been set free, Jesus knows his failures. Jesus loves him anyway. Here's the conversation. Jesus said to him then, and this is in John 21, verse 17. Jesus said to him, feed my sheep. I tell you the truth, when you were younger, you dressed yourself and you went where you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hand and someone else will dress you and lead you where you do not want to go. You see, Jesus said this to indicate the kind of death by which Peter would glorify God. And then he said to him, follow me. Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And Pete goes, Lord, I love you. I'm in. You have my life. And he goes, I know. And I want you to know, I know your failures, don't ever feel guilt and shame. They're clean. They're done. They're forgiven. You write your story about them. Because Peter, here's why I'm telling you that. When you were young, you dressed yourself and you ran around and did whatever you want. This life's going to lead you where other people are going to shackle you, clothe you, lead you to a place you don't want to go. This is the type of death you're going to have. You will be imprisoned, you will be chained, you will be crucified upside down. But follow me. Yesterday we looked at the king that gave all of his servants different talents proportioned to them. This is what I want you to manage on my behalf, how not to see life as ours. This is what he's given Peter. This probably isn't a hand you wanted to. This is something you'll probably pray against. But in your darkness, you're going to glorify me. In your darkness and even in your death, my name's going to be preached. This is the role I need you to play for the kingdom. Watch Peter's response. Peter turned and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved. That's John, by the way, who's writing the book. That John was following them. This is the one who leaned his back against Jesus at the supper, and he had said, Lord, who's going to betray you? Now when Peter saw him, he asked, well, Lord, what about him? And Jesus answered, if I want him to remain alive until I return, what is that to you? You must follow me. And of course, because of this, the rumor spread among the brothers that this disciple would never die. Jesus didn't say he wouldn't die. He only said, if I want him to remain alive, what's that to you? Peter gets this incredible conversation with Jesus. Here's the role I want you to play for the kingdom, and it might not be pretty. Peter's response is, well, what about him? What's that going to get to do? Isn't that human nature? And Jesus goes, who is that, John? Who cares what I do with John? If I want the guy to stay alive until I come back, he can stay alive. That's not your business. You follow me. When you and I can wrestle with this, we can understand where to put pride and ego. We can understand those feelings of jealousy that come around with others and go, well, how come they get to do that? How come they got picked? Why are theirs? Why do they get to move? Why are they got the house? Why are they up front? Why are they? And it's like, and we hear the words of Jesus go, what's that matter to you? You have a role to play in the kingdom. Play your role in the kingdom and celebrate someone else's role, but it's not yours. I can't tell you why they were given that. I can't tell you why they're allowed to do that. But if you're going to go through life looking at everybody else's role and what they've been given, you'll never succeed at yours. You want to get rid of jealousy in your life? You thank God for the role you get to play, that you're not just called a son or daughter on his team, but you play a significant part in the kingdom. And you find out what that role is. And when you see someone else who seems to be playing a role that we would really love to sign up for, you thank God that they get that and that they can play it well. But obviously it wasn't suited for you. If it was, you would have that life. You get to play the one you're dealt. And I look at other people in other positions and I just, well, good for them. But God, great for me. You've given me this. It's a different way to look at the kingdom. But it's the primary way we can counter the jealousies that come with the different roles we have in the kingdom. We'll see you guys tomorrow.